Well, hello there. It has been a while. So, if you're tuning in for the first time and do not know who the heck I am, I'm Sebastian One, the almost naked CEO, and I'm here because I care and because I give a damn. And it has been 9 months since I was live last time. We will not go into my melodrama and saga, but let me just put it this way. I am back today with the help and support of the very guest who is with me today. Uh, it takes a lot to overcome any kind of challenges, and it helps when you have people who are there to support you. And what better if the people supporting you understand you because they are like you, because they accept you as you are, and they are from your community, and they understand the kind of challenges we may face. So, without further ado, let's talk about who my guest is. My guest is Matt Skallerud, and I may be saying the name wrong, but he'll correct me on that. We're talking about rainbow marketing. Unleash Leaders of Change is all about change. What change anybody is bringing about in the society. And marketing itself is not an easy thing to do. On top of that, focusing on marketing only for LGBTI community, is it easy? Is it hard? Is it actually better to have specific rainbow, marketing services? We'll talk about all of that with Matt, and let's get to see who the man is, what he's about, and here we go. Hey Matt, how you going?
Very good. I'm so privileged and excited to be here for your premiere episode for this almost a year hiatus.
Absolutely. And look, I think I cannot thank you enough. So I'm not gonna keep going on that because if I did, we'll spend half an hour just doing that. But thank you so much. Because of you, you know that because of you, I'm back on air, and I can never ever forget that. So thank you.
Do you ever think about this? That you and I have never even met yet in the real world, and yet we've been able to form a relationship, and we both feel like we very much know each other, and yet we've been able. It's been all using technology that I don't think we could have done, like let's just say 5 years ago.
I love how you segue that into it. But that is true. Technology
Yeah,
has connected people, and even before the COVID era and all that, technology has changed things around. And I have formed such great friendships because of technology, and people like
yeah.
you have literally changed the whole experience, possibilities, and so much for me personally and for the world. And meeting you, I know we met. I happened to find your group, and I was so impressed the huge audience and the work that you do and everything, and we'll jump into that.
Yeah.
But I cannot believe in last couple of years how much we have got to know each other, and how much literally is a relationship of its own kind, and I'm really really grateful for that.
Me too.
Okay, so Matt, now people must be wondering who the heck is Matt Skallerud, and I think at least in LGBT community that should not be a question because guys, Matt, I don't know if you're gay, if you're LGBT, and if you don't know Matt Skallerud, there's something wrong with you. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the founder and CEO of Pink Media. Am I right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So,
And
Matt, if you don't mind, in your own words, if you can let people know who you are, what you do,
yeah.
only for the ignorant people who actually still don't know you yet. I don't know how.
Well, I'll tell it in the more fun way. I'll keep it short though. I mean, I was an engineer once upon a time, so I got my degree in aerospace. So I should have gone in that direction in life, but no, I started an LGBT website back in 1995 and thought everybody would do it, and we became one of the largest uh, LGBT websites worldwide. And there was just three of us. And I sold the company in 2006, so we kind of slugged it out and grew with the internet for all those years, and I sold it. And when I moved on, I just wanted to continue working with companies, trying to, they were always trying to figure out like how do I reach first they just wanted to say, how do I reach gay people on the internet? But I tried to work with them to say, hey, you can really target and reach your specific demographic. And so we just grew up with it. Went from banner ads and email campaigns to video and mobile apps, and of course now it's mostly social media and all the tools that we use, including the ones we're on today.
So that must have been really interesting because you were talking back in 1985. Technology
Yeah,
itself was evolving so fast, so much was happening, and so much, people also had lots of doubts. Oh, I don't know if I want to use that, if I want to do that. On top
yeah,
of that, you're actually going into an arena, going into a sphere which itself was facing its own challenges in society. Being LGBT itself, compared to what it
yeah,
is today, was
yeah.
quite a different scene at that time. So why venture into so much risk at once?
I think the real honest answer is it wasn't so much risk that I thought of, but the risk was more in I could have just continued. I could have created something on the internet that was related to what I was working on in the engineering world, and I decided, I mean, I was openly gay. I was with a partner, and I decided, why don't I create something for the LGBT community because it's a great way to test myself. It's like I know no one in the business world here, and but I see a lot of opportunities. There's all these like little resources, and then this is before Google, before Yahoo, before Amazon, before all of it. So there was these websites that I would find that were for our community, and I was like, there's no way to find them. So I started to kind of create a directory and just make it so that people could find them. And lo and behold, slowly we started to grow. We took a LGBT, actually it was just specifically a gay male magazine, national, put them online. Next thing you know, we went from that directory into kind of becoming more of a content and they call it a portal at the time, but it was a place where people would kind of start and be able to find all sorts of resources for the LGBT community, and that's what we became.
So the question that comes to my mind is when you started this and when you started creating specifically LGBTQ centered services, as much as business would have loved that, did you also have any kind of pushback like, oh, that's going to alienate us, we need to be part of the society?
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of pushback and objections in terms of why you're doing this?
Not at the early stages because we were back then the internet was exciting and new, and we spent a lot of time trying to educate folks in the business world about what it was all about. And so, but who we were working with, who we were kind of targeting or starting with, were almost always businesses that were already advertising in the LGBT marketplace. So, then our very first client was a gay hotel in Fort Lauderdale. We built them a website. We promoted them online, and from there we just continued to work with other LGBT organizations that were pretty much they were aware that they needed to be in this new space. So for us at that time it was easy, and then along the way we started to meet destinations like Switzerland and Montreal, American Airlines, and they also wanted to be a part of all that as well. But they were already kind of sold on the fact they wanted to be in the LGBT community. We just became kind of one of their top choices for how they were going to promote themselves.
Right. And, we're talking back in 1980s and now it's 2024. A lot has changed technology wise. We have. How do you keep up? How do you keep up with all these
Yeah.
changes? And how do you help your clients to keep up with all of
Somehow,
this?
I guess it's because I'm a nerd, and I thought basically, I when I was an engineer, I got bored in the lab, so I was, so I was very comfortable with technology, but then I actually went to another company and went into sales as of what I was working on as an engineer, um, and it was that combination of understanding technology and then knowing how to go out and talk to people about it. So for me, I've always just kind of straddled those two worlds. So I'm always kind of on a personal level, just kind of staying on top of what's new. So I may jump into Snapchat back in not now, but back in the day when it was first starting, or then of course TikTok and some of these. I don't necessarily recommend them to clients for a while, but I jump into them because I'm curious and I want to see what they're like. And so what I end up doing is kind of I'm the guinea pig. I test things out, I try it, and then I start to see when some things just never really take off, but then others do, and I kind of apply that also like a bigger picture where then there's like a direction going where all of a sudden these influencers start popping up and nobody knows what's an influencer. And back then it was mostly YouTube videos that these folks were all kind of starting with. But nowadays, they've evolved into Instagram on Reels and TikToks. So my goal is just to not only stay on top of the technology, but stay on top of the people and really get to know some of the people that are that are making moves and making inroads and pushing the boundaries, and especially in the LGBT community.
Awesome. I'm going to take a couple of comments that we have. So we have Joanna Robon here, and she's a good friend of mine and a business partner. And she's saying, "Yay to technology-enabled friendships!" Absolutely. And Joanna, you and I are the same case. But Matt and Joanna, we both have to change that. We have to meet in person. We have to literally go beyond technology, right?
We're going
And
to make it
Michael
happen.
is Absolutely, we've got it. I hope within this year. Then Michael easily says, "That's awesome." I think Michael is talking about either technology or how you got into the marketing thing. Please correct
Yeah,
me, Michael, because I'm not sure at what point the comment came in. So one thing that now since then till now has changed is there was a time when the mainstream media would not really take so much LGBT sort of advertising,
yeah,
given
yeah.
the social stigma at that time. And now everybody gets wants to get on board with the Pride, Pride
Hmm.
month and everything. So with that comes a little bit of pink washing. For
Yeah.
those who do not know, do you want to explain what pink washing is, and do you experience that in your own work right
Well,
now?
I think we all do, but I'm probably not quite as critical of a lot. What ends up happening is that we should be excited. We have this entire month now. June is Pride Month, and it's all things queer and LGBT, and so a lot of companies want to jump on board and promote themselves and be a part of it. Pinkwashing is just really when a company kind of just jumps on the 1st of June. They throw a few rainbow stickers and try to promote themselves as gay friendly, and then after that they go away. We never hear from them again. And so a lot of the community has really kind of evolved and grown up over all this time, where we're like, that's fine that you're here with us, but we would really like and expect that we want to see more of a commitment. And it doesn't have to be an advertising commitment, but just something where you're showing your visibility and your support on a full time basis, and not just jumping in for number one, the pink dollar, and number two, it's just because it's very trendy now to be able to, to to say you're very gay friendly in June. And that's essentially, I mean, that's what pink washing is. Not a hard specific definition, but it's kind of a that's the generality of it all.
But you think with the time, is it changing that even organizations that were actually just doing pink washing, do you think that's actually within the organizations, the culture is changing, and are they actually genuinely getting involved into the community beyond the Pride Month and marches as well?
Well, I think two things are happening at this moment, 2024. I mean, right now, in general, companies, people, organizations, everything, their support is continuing to not just grow, but it's just becoming intrinsically a part of the company's culture, the lives of a lot of uh, people around the world, young, middle, I would say middle age, older. What I'm saying is that it's just becoming much more ubiquitous. The LGBT community is not something that's as stigmatized. So that's continuing to happen regardless. However, in this politically polarized environment that we're in, there's a lot of pushback, a lot of visible pushback. Where when Bud Light wants to work with a transgender person to promote beer, all of a sudden the far right pushes back, says they're going to boycott. Then Bud Light doesn't handle that very well and says, "Oh, we're sorry, that was a mistake on our part," and they dump uh, the influencer Dylan Mulvaney, and of course, then our team and our side and all points in between say that's not cool either. That shows that you weren't there. Your support was weak. Your support was kind of only predicated on the fact that you thought that you could just sell more beer, and then Target did it, and so that just this kind of series of events has made it so that right now it's kind of a weird time. Yes, we're becoming more and more just a part of, people realize that we're just a part of the natural part of the fabric and mosaic of society, but at the same time politically you're seeing a lot of this backlash, so we're kind of navigating those roads right now.
And that's where the advantage comes to have a company that is gay oriented, gay operated company. We are not scared of pink washing, and we're not scared of the pushback. That's we are like, okay, we don't care, we know what we're doing, and deal with it. um, I've got a wonderful question from Peter Lee here,
Yeah.
or correct me, Peter, if I don't have the last name right. What are you recommending to your clients about attracting new employees as one in five Gen Z for millennials identify as LGBT?
Well, see, the employment is a huge one where that's that that is not going away. And what I mean by that is that there's an organization, Out and Equal, in the United States. They're probably one of the largest that really focuses on corporate policies, human resources, HR, and the way companies have fully embraced diversity and inclusion internally, that has just continued to grow. And in fact, that's a lot of times in today's world that's separated from the external things they do, like advertising and sponsoring pride events and so forth. So you're seeing that companies they get it, and they're not going backwards. They're staying the course, and they're continuing to expand. And as far as making sure that diversity and inclusion are very much a part of their culture, which means that when someone, whether they're multiracial, LGBT, whatever may be going on, that they know that they are completely supported and treated fairly in or in organization. Now, that's not across the board. Not all companies are going to do that, but I would just say the vast majority, especially the larger ones, they need to stay competitive. They can't afford to be seen as bigoted or racist in any way, shape, or form. So they stay really on it to make sure that they're on the right
That is
side of
very
it.
true. Absolutely, it is true. We're seeing this change in attitude. There are, especially in America right now, you have such polarization happening.
Yeah,
There is such strong opposition and there's such strong support. And I think, in a way, it's beautiful because on one hand, you do see all the hatred and homophobia and all that happening, but then you also see which was kind of unheard of and unimaginable. But today, big companies and organizations coming and supporting LGBT, and as you said, others as well, minorities and different races,
yeah.
and speaking up on social issues, and actually saying no, we are pro equality, we are inclusive, and all that. Um, s- I'll go back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of corporates taking on board everything and changing the attitudes and all that. But as Pink Media, what have you seen as an organization that helps you better help the clients, being very specifically gay oriented and LGBT focused? So how has Pink Media played a role?
Yeah, we've always played a role over the years for when they would come to us, it would always be. In fact, nowadays it's more that they'll say, "I have a story to tell. I have a there's a music single coming out, a new film release, a book." And those are the fun small projects. But even on the bigger side, destinations such as Palm Springs and others, they're very embracing as far as making sure that they stay very visible and out there and make sure that folks LGBT travelers know that they are a welcoming destination. So you're seeing all that just continue to be not only growing but being embraced. And so our job and our focus is to try to be one of the best. We can't be the best at all things, and I don't think in today's world you can be all things to all people, especially in the marketing side. So we stay very focused in the LGBT community to really try to be the best at being able to find the right combination of uh, websites and apps and places to place videos, and of course, how to target on social media that's specific to the LGBT community. And a lot of that is the relationships we have with a lot of the folks that run, whether it's media, influencers, and so forth. So, we put that experience, we put that skill set together, and that's how we become one of the strongest companies to be able to work with them on that.
And have you seen, because of your specialization and because of being very oriented towards the community, have you seen a change in attitude towards other corporates in dealing and working with you as well? Not just to get on trend, but to sort of including you or wanting to work with you only because they want to understand how to market to LGBT and how to reach out. You know,
Yeah, well, in years past, it's been continuing to grow and it's been pretty strong. But um, since 2023, since first it was Bud Light, then it was Target, but of course Disney had some of their very public, going against the governor of Florida about the don't say gay laws that they were implementing. So all of that has made a lot of companies very much kind of push themselves on the sidelines, and that's the big story this year is that you know. Uh, not we got featured in the USA Today, and it was an article. It was just really focusing on specifically that things are rough right now. Things are changing, and a lot of times nobody really wants to talk about it because it's a negative. But we talked about it, and because it's fair to that very same day that I was talking to USA Today, I had talked to an LGBT media company who told me that they're folding. And they didn't want me to share it yet, but they're folding because we've had zero advertisers for an entire for all of 2024, and they just can't continue to stay in business. And other LGBT media and marketing firms that I know have specifically had layoffs that they've never done over the last they've had staff for like 20 years that they finally had to start letting go. So it's a little rough. And so I think we're going to see companies, brands staying on the sidelines overall. There's still, of course, there's still some that are still with us, and we're seeing more and more of those campaigns kind of come up this month, starting a few days ago. But I think we're going to find it's a lot less than what it used to be. And so my goal and our company's goal is to really be there for when things bounce back again. Hopefully, 2025.
Beautiful. And you were talking about. We spoke a little bit about Target, or as I love to
Yeah,
call it, or we gays love to call it Target, Target and Bud Light and all that. The pushback, change their attitudes and all that.
yeah,
Not attitude. They just kind of like gave into that pressure. Um, what would you say to these big corporates and organizations as an organization that isn't scared of all that pushback? What can they do to change or handle these kind of pushbacks and stay true to the diversity, inclusion, and equity values?
yeah. One of the narratives that's being tossed around out there is that a lot of brands are not giving up or pulling back from the LGBT community. They are pausing and retooling. That's a great positive spin on the thing, which is and it's true. I think a lot of companies are just kind of looking at what can they do differently so that they can, perhaps some of them will be able to come forward in 2025 and be even more supportive than they've been in the past. But there's going to be things that they do that are different, and we don't necessarily know what those are going to look like yet. But I think that they're going to be changing the mix about how they focus on internal things, whether it's, like I said, HR and the work that Out and Equal does. HRC also, HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, they have something called the Corporate Equality Index. And so there's a lot of activity that could really focus more on those internal processes before then they start going back out at a time when politically, perhaps after this election, things might calm down. It'd be great to see if that happens. And then they'd feel probably more comfortable to say, okay, we've learned some lessons and we're going to try things. We're going to try some new things here.
Absolutely. And talking about a lot of activity, this is the month for us. Pride, June is
Oh yeah,
Pride. It is all about that. So I am just going to, just because there's a reason why this episode is special to me, I'm just going to put this banner up again. Hey guys, this is the Rainbow Visibility episode, okay? And I'll literally speak about that towards the end so people know why I'm so excited about that. But with Pride March happening and all this activity happening, how much are you involved with Pride events and all that? Do you go out in person, especially after COVID? What do you prefer?
yeah.
what what
Well,
what marches and events are you participating in right now?
yeah, actually, my husband and I, like every year, we always try to go to one big Pride event in June, just because it's fun, but it's hard because there's so many that happen within this 30-day period. So last year we went to Toronto and had a great time at Toronto Pride, and this year we're going to just stay more local. We're going to focus on New York Pride, so which is at the end of the month. So we're putting all of our eggs in one basket, and I'm going to focus all my energy on in it to win it.
And by the way, guys, as Matt says, stay more local, he means he's sticking to planet Earth for now because he's still always traveling. He is going to go to other galaxies later on. So we'll have to wait for our turn. Speaking of all this, have you ever sort of in your, you're talking about you started this business in 1980s and it's been such a long time. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen the change and shift in marketing for the Pride events itself, uh, given that we could not advertise the way we do now, we could not put up things we do now. And as you know, pride marches can be quite, quite much for people who are not expecting that. So, have you
Yeah.
seen that shift in marketing that way and the confidence within the community to market themselves without fear?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that goes back to what we were saying before. Like, and when Peter had said, 1 in 5 young people now self-identify as somewhere on the spectrum of LGBTQ, and so I do remember it was many years ago. I've been to Toronto quite often, and because they were very much trying to pursue the LGBT market in a formal way back in the early 2000s. So I would go there, and back then, everything centered on Church Street, which is a gay village, and the banks would do events. The banks were really big. There's quite a number of banks, I guess, in Toronto, and they were very, very active in trying to support Pride. But it was all about like hosting special VIP events at their location and so forth. So the visibility that you would see as you're walking through the city wasn't there, and nobody even thought of it. But then you fast forward to just a few years ago, and including even last year, but even years before that, you go through Toronto, and all of the banks are competing with each other to try to see who can be the most visible. So when you walk through the city, you just see bank after bank, including headquarters downtown, completely decked out in pride. And that's a huge difference. It shows, they've really embraced being very visible and very public about it. And that has been a good thing, and that has not gone away. And so even in New York, you're seeing Macy's. Macy's always has a wonderful uh, you know, June Pride Month displays in all their windows, and some of the other stores like they do the same. And so, and so that's the thing. Society is moving forward regardless of what we see politically, and we just have to sometimes not ignore things, but we have to sometimes just remind ourselves that we feel confident that things are moving in the right direction. It's just a bumpy road along the way.
I think it is about discernment. It is about, being discerning on, well, what am I going to pay attention to and spend my
Yeah,
energy in? Sometimes you do have to fight. Sometimes you do have to speak up and go, nope, that's not okay. But a lot of these noises can be silenced by just ignoring them, just
yeah,
not giving them any air at all. You give them air and you give them fuel and you give them the fire, and they're happy to do that. But yes, you're right, the attitude has changed so much. I love the fact that today we are talking about that big brands, corporates are competing to be more visible to our community,
hmm,
which would have been unheard of in 70s and 60s. It was a
yeah,
totally different scenario. So that's a
yeah.
great place to be. Speaking about visibility, let's go into a little bit of your personal life.
Okay.
I know this is a very cliche question, but when did you come out and how was your coming out experience?
Huh. Because I'm 58 this year, so that gives you a perspective of
I
generationally where
disagree.
I land.
He's only 25 plus. Okay, continue.
But I came out when I was 26, so and so it was at that time I had met someone that I was going to spend my life with at the time, and he's also we're not together now, but we're best friends, and he's my business partner. So very modern. But back then, and when I was 26, I just knew that um, this was for real, and that it was time to let folks know. And you always have to remember, especially back then, there were no role models. There's no roadmap. There's nothing you could really latch onto except maybe a few books here and there. So you didn't really know what you were doing, and so you just sort of jumped in with both feet. And so I let friends and family and so forth know, and most of it went well. But there were some things that didn't go so well. But ultimately, you have to fast forward a few years later. It all worked itself out, and it's probably one of the best things that myself and so many others at that time have done. And then they say, I gave my age because they say that nowadays, for every generation after, that it gets easier and easier. I have to believe that. I want to believe that. But even then, you still see that it's a challenge, and it's trying because we all want to be accepted by society and family and so forth. And being gay makes it so that that feeling of acceptance may be challenged, and you have to be able to be strong enough to be able to push through that. So it's a very individual journey for each one of us.
Absolutely. And, since you mentioned that, I'm going to share a little story with our audience about acceptance. Guys, when we started this show, it had a little different name. And, okay, I was supposed to get me, sorry, team, get me on screen. Okay. This show did not have a gay or LGBT guest for first 4 or 5 seasons. And Matt knows this story, so I'm sharing that right now because my co-host convinced me, oh, let's keep it family friendly. And duh, I did not object to that. I did not get up and say, what do you mean family friendly by keeping LGBT out? I am gay. And I've never been in closet per se. So it took me, you're talking about acceptance. It took me 4+ seasons to think, hang on, why are we constantly putting LGBT outside the borders? Why do we have this parameter where only non-LGBT can come in, and that makes it family friendly? It took me 4 to 5 seasons, not even months or weeks, to go and say, no, it's gonna happen, with everybody welcome. And thanks to you, Matt. And this is why I am excited about this episode, because this is the first time I literally have, I could say, Unleashed Leaders of Change has its first out episode. We've come out as a series because, yeah, it was just like, although I don't really care, for me, it's like everybody comes in. I don't have to always announce about sexuality and all that.
Hmm.
But yes, that acceptance, I did not realize was happening. Rejection was happening for being LGBT. And then a part of me was accepting that. I was
Yeah.
accepting rejection. I was accepting the homophobia, which was kind of, being manipulated into me. And thanks to you, I constantly have to say, in last couple of years, you have given me the confidence, which is why I decided. And you've been so patient, so patient. Oh my God, guys. I think this guy has been, if it was me, I probably would have been violent. No, I'm kidding. But he's been super patient. He's, in fact, given me the confidence, given me the love and support that, today we're having, once again, I'm going to say, the rainbow visibility, episode because of Matt. So thank you, Matt, for that. Unleashed Leads of Change has come out itself.
That's what we're here together for.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, now you guys are, I think, traveling right now as well. Tell me a little bit about your husband, your married
Yeah.
life. When
Yeah.
did you guys get married, and how are things?
Yeah. Well, we met in 2007, and that's where travel is an integral part of our world. He was working at the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association, IGLTA. So we're an IGLTA marriage. So we met. I was on the board. He was working there, and we got married in 2013 when we moved to New York City, and we moved in together at that time. And so everything has just continued to grow blissfully ever since. And he works in the travel world, but now he works at American Express. It's called Global Business Travel. So he's more of a corporate guy. Works a lot in the product side, but he's a director there now, and he's well respected and well loved, and so he's the corporate husband, and I'm the entrepreneur who gets to be a bit, especially when it comes to income levels, be a little bit more up and down. And that's what allows us, because his work has especially now switched to more remote. It doesn't. They're in travel. They don't have to be in the office all the time. So now our work life together means that we could travel more, work from wherever we're traveling to. And for me, as long as I have Wi-Fi and a good space to settle down, I can get all my work done and then go off and explore a new city.
Awesome. And I love that. And guys, go check out, these two guys are so cute. You can see him, but go and see the husband as well. See them together. It's really fun. And I'm just going to have to say, could you be any gayer? Sorry, Chandler. I hope I don't get sued for that. Anyway, now we're coming to a close, and I have a little rapid fire round for you. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Let's see how
Hmm,
you handle that. Bear with me one
yeah.
second. I will go in here. And I have, now these questions may be silly, but I love doing these. So, the very first question, if you had $1 billion right now, but you had only one day to spend and you could not spend it on you or yours, how would you spend it and what would you do with it? $1 billion.
Ah, well, I feel like you and I have toyed with this before, but I think the big part is that especially as you get older, you realize that what am I going to do with all that money? I've had a great life up to this point. So since I can't spend it for myself or anybody, I would definitely. I think I focus more on loyalty and friendships and relationships. So I would really focus on the people that have been closest in my life and making sure that they were going to benefit very greatly from that opportunity.
Beautiful. And what mistake have you made in your life that you do not want anyone else to ever repeat in their life?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's the world of, especially being an entrepreneur and trying new things. Is that you know there are self-help books that say, oh, in order to be successful, you have to have had multiple failures, blah blah blah. I think that just comes naturally. So what it means is when you're pushing boundaries and trying new things, sometimes it doesn't really work or kick in. Um, but I don't think we've really done anything that I would warn someone off to not repeat. We've been very fortunate. I say we because just as we were growing this business, even as a team, we've been very fortunate that we've really never had anything that was going to take us down or one of the things I learned was to have a lot more confidence in myself and my abilities and the abilities of the people around me, as opposed to, especially back in those early days when folks would come along during the dot-com boom with money, and they would say, oh, um, you've taken to this point, but we can take you much further. We can make you a star. We can make all of this much more, everyone and all of us much more famous. And it turned out that a lot of that wasn't actually true. And so one of the things I'd learned was that we should have had probably more confidence in our own abilities to be able to grow a business and not necessarily think that other people knew better than we did.
Which is very important actually.
Yeah.
And the last question: if you could collaborate with one person, dead or alive, one person only, who would it be? Why would you collaborate with them? And what is it that you will collaborate on?
Oh, I don't know. I think I always have heroes from my heroes from television. Um, the easy one we want to see, I want to say that Tom Cruise used to be. I don't admire him at all, but he's gone in the crazy direction. But when I was younger and when I watched Top Gun, trust me that that had a big part of my decision to be go into the world of aerospace engineering, because I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but I was slightly colorblind. I could never fly, so I decided can't if you can't fly them, build them. So that was going to be my life at the time. But if I was to work with anybody, though, I should, even though I've shown that I was a big part of, influential when I was young, but it's always been Sean Connery. Sean Connery has always been kind of a role model. I used to always say, I wish he was my grandfather. And he played a mean James Bond. He was fantastic back in the day. But even then, he evolved after that into some great characters. And I've always kind of watched him and thought, I would have loved to have had him around me at a different points in my life. I feel like I would have been a better person because of it.
Well, if he was your grandfather, I promise you, I would be your toy boy grandfather. I'd be dating him.
Look, if I let my beard grow out a little longer, maybe I can even start looking like him. I just can't speak like him. I can't do the Scottish accent.
Well, give it a try. We'll see.
See how delusional I can become?
You never know. All right. That brings us to a close. But before we go, I do want to ask you, what's the one message you have for marketers out there, influencers out there, and the brands out there in terms of LGBT marketing? What do they still need to change that can make us, you know, bring
Yeah,
us
it's not
all
so much
together?
change. It's not so much change as far as just uh, technology has been evolving and changing a lot, and so quite a few of these folks are newer players that have really learned how to adapt. It's easy to say, oh, just look at the Instagram and TikTok influencers, but beyond that, it's about understanding how technology um, as a tool and it's just a part of the equation. The other part is really trying to understand people, and not just try, but all of us, we all have our own skill set when it comes to understanding the world around us and understanding people. And I think it's really that combination of understanding people at this moment in time, in the place you're at, along with the technology that you may be seeing an opportunity that others don't. And I think that's where the opportunities lie, and it's going to continue to lie, is in seeing kind of this melding of technology and human understanding that will allow us to just continue to create wonderful new things when it comes to all of it, beta, marketing, and all things in between for the LGBT community.
And of course, contact Matt. Go to Pink Media to get all the guidance and do your thing. And guys, we will put in the information how to get in touch with Matt as well in the description. So do check that out. Thank you so much, Matt. This has been so amazing. And once again, thank you so much for being my first gay guest and gay episode and gay everything, because I haven't done this before. It took me 8 seasons to get here, and I am so grateful that it started with you.
I'm honored. And it's, like I said, very mutual between us. So I'm looking forward to more.
Thank you. And you will be back again soon. I promise you. You have just given me a new birth, so it's gonna happen. Should I call you my gay mama or something?
Business daddy.
Business daddy. Ooh, that sounds tea.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I love that. All right. Don't go anywhere. I'm just gonna bring you down out of the studio. I'll wrap up and I'll be with you in a second. So please don't go anywhere. So, guys, that was Matt Skallerud, and I don't know why I'm showing like that. Guys, can you put me on screen? Thank you so much. So, as I said, Matt has been a great reason, a big force behind me finally doing this episode and coming back live after 9 months. Oh, Matt, you're right. 9 months. Okay, makes sense. You are my business daddy. Okay, well, that jokes aside, guys, thank you so much for watching, for participating, and of course, the replay will be available at the same link. Uh, I think one thing about Pride for me, I haven't been to so many marches and everything, but that's my own personal issue. So I started thinking about that. I'm sorry, but I think it is time for us to. It's 2024. Live in a world where we should not have to struggle so much, and there should not be so much of pushback, but it is there. It's happening in America, it's happening in all of the countries. But as Matt was saying, attitudes are changing, things are changing. We are unleashing change in this world and becoming more and more inclusive, and that's what we need to keep doing. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Sebastian One, the Almost Naked CEO, and I'm here because I care and because I give a damn. Until next, dream big and make it happen. I will see you next time. And I have just accidentally closed something, guys. Can you put that up? Thank you.
You've got to be intentional about your dreams. Then only you can explore your true creativity.
For me, living intentionally means living with purpose and making sure that the story I create is the story I want to tell my daughters when they grow up.
Because I am